Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Griffin in Summer, and this is a new coming-of-age comedy from writer-director Nicholas Collier, and this film focuses on 14-year-old Griffin Nafly, is the most ambitious playwright of his generation. But once he meets handsome 25-year-old handyman Brad, his life and play will never be the same. And this film very much is a coming-of-age story as a young, gay playwright is processing these feelings that he starts to develop for this 25-year-old performance artist who his mom hires to clean their pool. And you have that. You have him with this burgeoning love for the arts and his playwriting, and he can be abrasive. And it puts him in conflict with his best friend Kara and the others that are supposed to be in this play. Now, this film, I think Collier does a great job of setting a tone where there's a lot of humor here, but there's also good dramatic moments, because not everything that happens in this film is all good and happy. You have Griffin's, whose family life is a little complicated. His absent father, his mother who's too distracted trying to keep her marriage and her work together, that Griffin's just kind of doing his thing. And Griffin's a very ambitious young man who has work and wants to be accomplishing things. And I feel like Collier does a great job of balancing. The tone always feels right when it needs to be a little bit more heavy. There's a particular scene where we really have the conflict of his family coming to a head. And that's devastating. It's emotional and it works. You also have Griffin, who's particularly sassy and kind of mean with his very biting sense of humor. And you get that too. And you have all these different elements, and Collier does a good job of pulling it together. This film really works so much because of Everett Blunk, who plays Griffin. He is fully committed to this character. He brings so much to this character, make him fully realized. He has layers. There's emotions that he's never felt before that are bubbling underneath the surface behind this very sassy, sharp, very intense personality that Griffin has, because he is very much a it's my show, so you do it my way or the highway kind of energy that he brings to this character, and it works. And sure, this film has a lot of expected beats you see from a coming-of-age story, but our abrasive, rough around the edges little playwright who is very intelligent, very accomplished, he brings added layers, especially of conflict to this film, because he has his dynamic with his friends, and like he's putting on a very mature play. And I think Blunk does a great job of pulling this together. You have Owen Teague, who's Brad, who is aloof a lot of the time, but also he's insecure because he feels like he's stuck in this small town. And we can, if you've ever come from a small town and never wanted to get out, like, you can understand his feelings, and Brad just channels them in sometimes not the most healthy ways, but he's this performance artist. And you get to see him act, especially against these younger performers in Griffin's play, and he's intense. Teague just brings a whole other gear to this performance, and it really works. And there's some very impactful and poignant emotional moments along the way. I think Melanie Lynskey, who's such a fantastic actor, who doesn't get a ton of screen time as Griffin's mother, is really a great veteran presence and anchor to those scenes. And even Abby Ryder Fortson, who was previously certainly in other films like Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, she is Griffin's best friend, and they have a good dynamic, and Griffin's going through a lot. He feels abandoned by her because she has a new boyfriend. She goes away when she was supposed to be helping with the play. Griffin is an interesting character because he lashes out in unhealthy ways, but he has reasons to be frustrated, and, he meets Brad, who, one, brings out a particular side of him that he's never really explored before, but also this love for the arts and this passion. And they both, like, when there's scenes of them working through the play, there's a great energy there and there's a great connection. And I think the film focusing on the arts and how impactful and meaningful it can be connecting people adds layers to this coming of age story where, yeah, sure, there's a lot of beats that you expect from a film like this, but this adds those extra layers that makes it just that more engaging. And at the end of the day, this is a 90-minute, lean, well put together, very well acted, engaging coming of age story that lifts up a little bit above so many others, because this is a timeless but very overdone genre. But Colia and company find a way to differentiate and make this one stand out. But those are my thoughts on Griffin in Summer. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.